Chapter 3. Mart, I've just become aware. It never crossed my mind until Dunark departed that I possessed the same skills as him in creating instruments. In fact, I have a suspicion. Remember how the needle on Quinault has been non-functional for some time? I refuse to believe that it's truly broken. I'll be damned if I know where that Arthur C. Clarke has gone. He's disappeared into the ether, and I'm going to have to track him down. I'll have to fortify myself, arm myself, and find out where he's gone. An excellent idea. Even you are worried about him, and I'm practically beside myself. I'm so scared that he'll harm Dottie that I'm running around in circles and biting my own tail. He's got an agenda, and it seems like he's targeting the women, not us or the job. It seems like someone's been aiming at you too, judging by the number of bullets that have been stopped by your armor lately. I wish I could help, but all their attacks are directed at you. I can't even step outside without someone shooting at me. It's strange, really. You're more important to the power plant than I am. You should know why. They're not afraid of me. While I'm willing enough, it's your skill and speed with a gun that has thwarted 4 abduction attempts in as many days. It's incredible how quickly you react. Even with all my practice, I didn't even have my gun out until it was all over yesterday. And besides Prescott's guards, we had 4 policemen with us, assigned to protect us because of the number of gunmen you've had to take down. It's not just practice, it's a gift. I've always been quick, and I react automatically. You think too much. That's why you're slow. Those cops were clueless. They didn't know what was happening until it was all over, almost calling for backup. That was the worst one yet. One of their bullets hit right in front of my left eye. It was almost comical. And when those machine guns started firing, it was like being in a boiler room. It was crazy, but one thing's for sure, we're not the only ones worried. Very few of the gangsters they send after us are coming back. I wonder what they think when they shoot at us and we don't go down. But I'm starting to crack, Mart. Rizzo's voice became serious. I don't like any of this. I don't like wearing armor all the time, living under constant guard, or all this killing. And the constant fear of losing Dorothy if I take my eyes off her for even a second is driving me insane. To be honest, I'm scared they'll come up with something that will work. They could take 2 women or kill 2 men if they had enough armor and guns. I believe Quinault could too, and the rest of the gang isn't stupid by any means. I won't feel safe until all 4 of us are on the Bismark and far away from here. I am relieved that we are leaving this place, and I have no intention of returning until I have found Quinault. He is the one I am after, and I will make sure to get him and make him pay. There won't be a single atom of his body left in the same area. I meant what I said to him. He knows the danger he is in, and that it is either his life or ours. He is a real threat to us, and he started the war with Tartan knowing what he was doing. He wants a monopoly on X and will stop at nothing to get it. Even if we surrender, he will not let us live. But he has started something he may regret, unless I act fast. We need to hurry up and get going. We don't want to keep Dunark waiting for too long. We have installed all the new instruments, and there is not much left to do except pump out the compass while we travel. We have every weapon of offense and defense known to earthly or Osnomian warfare, including the ray generators and screens we had wished for during the battle over Condal. We have everything we could possibly need. We have so much loot on board that there is hardly any room left for living quarters. Are you planning on taking anyone else with us besides Shiro? No, there is no need for anyone else, but Shiro wants to come along, and he may be useful. He will be useful indeed. He is a great cook and housekeeper, and none of us enjoy doing those chores. The installation of the new instruments is complete, and while Dorothy and Margaret make final preparations for departure, the men call a meeting of the managing directors and department heads of Rizzo, Crane Company, engineers. They give brief reports on the progress of the power plant, which is a gold mine financially. With the completion of number 5, rates will be reduced even further. In short, everything is going smoothly. Your strategy of recruiting the most talented individuals, compensating them generously, and granting them complete authority and accountability has proven to be a triumph. I have never witnessed such a seamless and cooperative effort in a project of this magnitude. That was our intention. We meticulously selected the leaders and left the rest to you. You did the same with the managers. Everyone knows that their success is solely dependent on their own efforts, so they are fully invested. However, Dick, while everything is running smoothly at the works, when will the other shoe drop? We've been victorious so far, but I fear that something is bound to happen soon. That's why I want to take Dot away for a while. Do you know what they're planning?" "Too well," the older man replied. "Dotty or Mrs. Crane or both. Her mother is saying her goodbyes now, and I agree that the danger here is greater than out there." "Danger out there? With the old can fixed the way it is now, Dot is safer there than you are in bed. Your house might collapse, you know." "You're probably right, son. I trust you and Martin Crane. Together, and in the Bismarck, I believe you are invincible." "Ready to go, Dick?" Dorothy appeared in the doorway. "All set. You've given Prescott and everyone the information, Dad. We might be back in 6 months, or we might find something to investigate and be gone for a year or more. Don't worry until after 3 years have passed. We'll make sure to return by then." Goodbyes were exchanged, the group boarded, and Bismarck 2 ascended. Rizzo flipped a phone set over his head and spoke. "Dunark. Coming out, heading directly for X. No, better stay quite a ways off to one side when we get going good. Yes, I'm accelerating 26.000. Yes, I'll call you now and then, until the radio waves get lost, to check the course with you. After that, keep on the last course, reverse at the calculated distance, and by the time we're pretty well slowed down, we'll feel around for each other with the compasses and go in together." "Right. Fine. So long." To ensure that the two vessels remained relatively close, they agreed to maintain an acceleration of precisely 26 feet per second, positive and negative. This number was a compromise between the gravitational forces of the two planets where the different parties resided. Although significantly less than the gravity on Earth's surface, the terrestrials could easily adapt to it, and it was not much greater than that of Osnome to seriously impede the Green People's activities. Once they were clear of Earth's influence, Rizzo confirmed that everything was functioning correctly, then stretched to his full height, raised his arms over his head, and let out a deep sigh of relief. "Folks," he announced, "this is the first time I've felt at ease since we left that old bottle." The room was filled with laughter and excitement as Dorothy and her friends chatted away. "I feel amazing, like a cat could scratch me and I wouldn't even flinch," exclaimed Peggy. "I've always said Dickie has cat blood in him, just like all tomcats," added Dorothy. "But go ahead, Dickie, let it out. It's been weeks since we've had an uproar like this." Margaret chimed in. "It's such a relief to get this load off our minds. I could do some ladylike yowling myself." Crane, lying back and smoking a cigarette, nodded in agreement. "Dick's yowling is quite expressive at times. We all feel the same way, but some of us can't express ourselves quite as vividly." As they discussed their flight, Crane suggested that they didn't need to have someone at the controls all night. "The instruments are thousands of times as sensitive as the keenest human senses. They'll spot trouble long before we could, even if we were looking right at it," he explained. "I've set up lines so that any signal will sound a buzzer on the head of our bed, so I'll take the night shift automatically." As the group settled in for the night, Rizzo and Dorothy snuggled up together. "Sleepy cuddle, pup?" she asked. "Heavens, no. I couldn't sleep now, lover, could you?" he replied. They gazed out at the violet glow surrounding the shining copper cylinder of the power plant, and Rizzo remarked, "If that violet aura and copper bar were a little different in shade and tone of color, they'd be just like your eyes and hair." "You're quite the character, my dear," she exclaimed, her charming laughter bubbling through her words. "You do say the most peculiar things sometimes. Maybe the moon could be green cheese if it was made of different stuff and had a different color. How about we go look at the stars?" "Stay put, Rufus," he commanded sternly. "Don't move a muscle. You're in a perfect position. I'll get you any stars you want and bring them right to you. What constellation do you prefer? I can get you the Southern Cross, which we never see in Washington." "No, I want something familiar. The Pleiades or the Big Dipper. No, get me Canis Major, where Sirius, the brightest jewel in the crown of the sky, reigns supreme," she quoted. "There! You thought I had forgotten all the astronomy you taught me, didn't you? Do you think you can find it?" "Of course. If I recall correctly, its declination is about -20, and its right ascension is between 6 and 7 hours. Let me see. Where would that be from our current position?" He pondered for a moment, manipulated several levers and dials, turned off the lights, and swung the first exterior visiplate around, right before their eyes. Oh, this is magnificent, my dear," she exclaimed. "It's stupendous. It's as if we were actually out there in space, not in here at all. It's just too perfectly wonderful." Although both of them were familiar with interstellar space, it was a spectacle that never ceased to amaze even the most experienced observer. No human being had ever before seen the wonders of space from such a vantage point. Thus the two fell silent and awed as they gazed out into the depths of the interstellar void. The darkness of earthly night is softened by light, rays scattered by the atmosphere. The stars twinkle and scintillate, and their light is diffused because of the same medium. But here, what a contrast! They saw the utter, absolute darkness of the complete absence of all light, and upon that indescribable blackness they beheld the almost unbearable brilliance of enormous suns concentrated into mathematical points, dimensionless. Sirius blazed in blue and white splendor, dominating the lesser members of its constellation, a tiny but intensely brilliant diamond on a field of black velvet, its radiance unmarred by any trace of scintillation or distortion. As Rizzo slowly shifted the field of vision, angling toward and across the celestial equator and the ecliptic, they beheld mighty Rigel, the Belt, led by dazzlingly brilliant white Delta Orionis, red Betelgeuse, storied Aldebaran, the friend of mariners, and the astronomically constant Pleiades. Rizzo's arm contracted, swinging Dorothy into his embrace. Their lips met and held. "Isn't it wonderful, my love?" she murmured, "to be out here in space like this, together, away from all our troubles and worries? I'm so happy." "It certainly is, my dear," he replied. "I was terrified every time they fired at you. What if your armor cracked or something? I wouldn't want to go on living. I'd just naturally die. But I'm glad it didn't. And I'm twice as glad that they didn't succeed in grabbing you away from me," he said, his jaw set rigidly and his grey eyes hard as tempered drills. "Blackie Quinault has something coming to him. So far I have always paid my debts. I shall settle with him, in full." "That was an awfully quick change of subject," he continued, his voice changing instantly into a lighter vein. "But that's one penalty of being human. We can't live in high altitudes all our lives. If we could, there would be no thrill in ascending them so often. Yes, we love each other just the same, more than anybody else I ever heard of." After a moment she eyed him shrewdly and continued, "You've got something on your mind besides that tangled mop of hair, big boy. Tell it to Red Top." "Nothing much." "Come on, fess up. It's good for the soul. You can't fool your own wife, Guy. I know your little winning ways too well. Let me finish, woman. I was about to bare my very soul. To resume, nothing much to go on but a hunch, but I think Quinault's somewhere out here in the great open spaces, where men are sometimes schemers as well as men. And if so, I'm after him, foot, horse, and marines." "That object compass?" "Yes. You see, I built that thing myself, and I know darn well it isn't out of order. It's still on him, but doesn't indicate. Ergo, he is too far away to reach, and with his weight I could find him anywhere up to about 1.5 light-years. If he wants to go that far away from home, where is his logical destination? It can't be anywhere but Osnome, since that is the only place we stopped at for any length of time, the only place where he could have learned anything. He's learned something, or found something useful to him there, just as we did. That is certain, since he is not the type of man to do anything without a purpose. Uncle Dudley is on his trail, and we'll be able to locate him pretty soon. When will you get that new compass? Case exhausted to a skillionth of a millimeter or something, whatever it is. I thought Dunark said it took 500 hours of pumping to get it where he wanted it. It did for him, but while the Osnomians are wonders at some things, they're not so hot at others. You see, I've got 3 pumps on that job, in series. First, a Rodebush, Michalik super pump, then backing that, an ordinary mercury vapor pump, and last, backing both the others, a Chenko, high-vac motor-driven oil pump. In less than 50 hours, that case will be as empty as a flapper's skull. Just to make sure of cleaning up the last infinitesimal traces, though, I'm going to flash a getter charge of tantalum in it. After that, the atmosphere in that case will be tenuous. Take my word for it. I must admit, much of that scientific contribution is beyond my comprehension, like a tent towering over me at a circus. Perhaps we should allow Bismark Too to navigate on her own for a while, and indulge in some of nature's rejuvenating qualities.